Could UFC heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier come to the WWE? Guys, we're talking about it here on Destination Pro Wrestling. Welcome back to Destination Pro Wrestling here on YouTube, guys. My name is Ango, and of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Tango with Ango. And as always, this is the spot for pro wrestling news, rumors, and discussion. Guys, we got to talk about it. Daniel Cormier has been heavily rumored to come to WWE. This rumor has existed for a very long time, but things are starting to pick up now that WWE is officially going to Fox. And of course, we've been talking a little bit about this Fox deal for WWE, so we got some more details on the rumor. Guys, don't forget to click that subscribe button, and as always, make sure you guys ring that bell. This way you get notified on all the latest content right here on Destination Pro Wrestling. So let's just kind of jump into it. What is going on with Daniel Cormier? Well, as you guys know, Daniel Cormier does not have that much time left in the UFC. He's rumored to have at least one or two more fights. And if you guys are UFC fans, these two fights are likely going to be Stipe Miocic and then Jon Jones. Now, this is where things get crazy. As you guys know, at Extreme Rules, Brock Lesnar did in fact win the WWE Universal Championship, and it looks like Fox and USA are putting tons of pressure on WWE. And according to reports, USA and Fox have made it very clear to WWE that they have to kick things up with their ratings and with their product. And as you guys know, things haven't been that great, and well, Extreme Rules wasn't that bad of a pay-per-view, but it kind of looked like we were going in the right step of direction. So what is WWE going to be doing different? Well, as you guys know, Ronda Rousey is expected to make a return very soon, as they are looking for some star power for the women's division. And that's a very smart idea, because I think at this point you definitely need Rousey back into the swing of things. But what can you do to keep fans very happy about Brock Lesnar winning the Universal Championship? Well, right now the rumors suggest that Brock Lesnar will be holding the Universal Championship until WWE goes onto Fox this upcoming fall. So Brock Lesnar is slated to at some point drop the title belt before he makes the move to SmackDown Live. And of course, this would make a lot of sense. There's a lot of guys on the WWE Raw roster that could definitely use a rub from going over Brock Lesnar. Some people are suggesting that Braun Strowman might be the guy to finally go over Brock Lesnar. And to be honest with you, if I had to book this, I would have Braun Strowman just go on a monstrous run, similar to what he's done before, but obviously WWE kind of dropped it. I would have Braun Strowman be the guy to dethrone Brock Lesnar. And then, of course, Brock Lesnar could go away for a little bit. I would assume maybe this happens at SummerSlam, and then after SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar will make his return to WWE on the very first episode of Fox. So if you're WWE, not only do you get some star power with Brock Lesnar holding the championship, regardless if you are in favor of him holding the belt, obviously Brock Lesnar carrying that belt will be a very big thing for a guy like Braun Strowman to then take over the championship. Maybe a guy like Bobby Lashley. I mean, if you guys want to do a quick fantasy booking, the way I would do it is having Paul Heyman turn on Brock Lesnar. Maybe things could kind of come out in the storyline that suggests Brock Lesnar is expected to switch brands. Paul Heyman being the executive for Raw, not in favor of that. Him turning on Brock Lesnar allows him to be the mouthpiece for a guy like Bobby Lashley, a mouthpiece for a guy like Braun Strowman. And by him doing that, this is actually really good, because then this suggests that Paul Heyman will now be separated from Brock Lesnar in the meantime. Brock Lesnar loses the belt at SummerSlam. We don't see him. He shows up on Fox. Now, one of the craziest things about the SmackDown Live and Fox rumors was that Daniel Cormier was somebody that Fox really wanted to be part of SmackDown. We talked about this probably a year ago. And this was really interesting because, as you guys know, Fox is looking to become more sports-oriented versus the sports entertainment. And now that, you know, Daniel Cormier, who, by the way, is a huge wrestling fan, he's a really big fan of WWE. He's even talked about it before, you know, just having interest in it. And of course, now things could get very realistic. So some of the rumors suggest that Daniel Cormier could at one point accept a commentating role with WWE SmackDown. And then, of course, Brock Lesnar and Daniel Cormier could kind of pick up their feud from the UFC into the WWE. Now, this is actually really interesting, considering that Brock and Daniel Cormier never got that UFC fight. And as you guys may know, or maybe you guys didn't hear about it, I know for a fact we didn't cover it here on Destination Pro Wrestling because it wasn't that big of a deal. But Brock Lesnar re-signed with WWE and completely dropped UFC from his plans. He did in fact retire from the UFC. This way he could take more dates within the WWE. Now I don't know how many more dates we're expected to see Brock Lesnar in the WWE, but many people are saying that this contract that he actually signed with the WWE is a lot larger of a contract that includes more working dates, which, as you guys know, Brock Lesnar is a good wrestler. Like, he is a good star for the WWE. One of the things that we just constantly get annoyed with is the fact that he's constantly pushed to the top and then he hardly ever shows up. So if WWE has the opportunity to use him more, then more people will probably be in favor of Brock Lesnar holding the world championship. So at this point, if Brock Lesnar were to go to SmackDown, the way I personally would book this is having Daniel Cormier make his debut at commentary. And just for, every time Brock Lesnar visits SmackDown, he kind of has this weird look. Every time he sees Daniel Cormier, he kind of cross paths with him. And of course, he's got to keep his relationship professional. Maybe you even have like a backstage segment where Daniel Cormier sees Brock Lesnar and he has to remind him, like, hey, this is not the UFC. Like, I'm here for commentary. I'm not here to be a wrestler. Don't make that mistake. Don't get in my way, because you don't want things to happen. And then I think after so many weeks, or maybe even months at this point, of Brock Lesnar encountering, Daniel Cormier, I think Brock Lesnar goes on this monstrous heel turn that sees him attacking Daniel Cormier, which then, of course, at WrestleMania will then cause Daniel Cormier to say, you know what, screw it. Like, I'm not taking this bullying. I'm not going to take this harassment. I'm going to wrestle. And I think this is a really good thing for WWE, because you do need star power. I know sometimes celebrities in the WWE aren't always the ones that make the most sense, but this is a move that really does make sense for WWE. Not only does it put over Brock Lesnar as a legit contender, which is something that we haven't seen in a really long time, but now WWE is making everybody's wish come true. Everybody wants to see some sort of cross promotion between the UFC and WWE. And with Ronda Rousey, we sort of got that, but Ronda Rousey main evented WrestleMania. Things weren't that good. It was okay, and I think a move like this really suggests that WWE doesn't need Brock Lesnar in the main event of WrestleMania, but he could also be in a very high marquee match. And Daniel Cormier, who is a fan of pro wrestling, I think this guy can bring something very unique to the ring. I think this guy, just looking at him, I feel like he kind of fits the role of this character, and I don't think anybody can hate on Daniel Cormier as a mouthpiece. I think he'll be able to stand on his own, something that Ronda Rousey wasn't able to do. And I think having this high marquee matchup at WrestleMania just really makes sense for Daniel Cormier. And of course, WWE could then put him back in a commentary role or whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be a long-term thing, but if it is true, if Daniel Cormier is coming to the WWE to feud with Lesnar, I think it's a major way to put over Lesnar as a guy who is, a real legit fighter, but also it's going to put over Daniel Cormier in the sense of, like, this guy could do UFC, he could do WWE, he could do so much more. And honestly, if there's a UFC fighter that I think has a good future in WWE, it's definitely not CM Punk, right? Like, CM Punk was not good in the UFC. I feel like at this point, he just kind of needs to go stick with, like, the indie guys and just kind of get away from the mainstream spotlight. And I think a guy like Daniel Cormier kind of fits the role of a WWE star. I think he's going to fit into that pretty greatly. And of course, if Fox wants this, it makes a lot of sense. And if you're USA, if you're the USA Network and Daniel Cormier does cross over into SmackDown, who knows what they do with, like, the wild card rule or whatever it may be. But I think I could trust WWE booking this. I think they can make this work. And it's going to be very interesting to see what actually happens here. Again, the rumors of Daniel Cormier are not new, but they're starting to definitely pick up now that we know that Fox definitely has them. So ultimately, guys, I'm excited for it. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. Here on Destination Pro Wrestling, we talk a lot about pro wrestling, and you guys are incredible when it comes to, the comment section. I see a lot of great comments, and I try to respond to them all. This one, most importantly, guys, let me know what you guys think. I'm sure a lot of you guys will disagree, but I'm very curious to know what you guys think. So with that being said, make sure you guys drop a comment, smash that like button, and as always, make sure you click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.